Since the establishment of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, the country have witnessed an uncommon deliberate efforts aimed at deepening local content in the oil and gas sector. They ensure that any service that Nigerians can offer is given to the indigenous operators and not otherwise. And so, most recently, the Project 100, a vision of BENEFICIARY, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, was launched with the hope that beneficiary companies will benefit from government special interventions, capacity building, access to finance and markets, among others. It is expected that as these indigenous companies grow, they will create wealth, lots of jobs, and will consequently lead to Nigerians' socio-economic growth and development. I am Zainab Obetin. Thanks for joining us on your Economy Review program, Economy Today. Please enjoy this package.
Which kind of wire you gonna need to light up your light? Oh man, the quality wire. Now which kind of cable you gonna need to light up your house? Oh man, the quality cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman can't. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Coleman be the come and see. Now come and be the Coleman won't light up your light. Now come and be the come and see. Now come and be the COLEMAN. Quality. Durable. Now come and be the Baba.
Nigeria is a country that prides itself of men and women with vast experience in various sectors of the economy who are committedly contributing to the growth and development of the economy. And so, determined to positively affect the nation's economy's activities in the oil and gas sector by encouraging indigenous companies, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Dr. BENEFICIARY, initiated Project 100 to help nurture wholly owned indigenous Nigerian oil and gas service providers to support their growth into large-scale players as a foundation for the nation's economic turnaround. The Project 100, which is handled by the Nigerian Development and Monitoring Board, NCDMB, will no doubt bring out the best in Nigerians. Engineer Simbi Wabote is the dynamic executive secretary.
We started the process about 8 months ago, where we brought in KPMG, a reputable consulting firm, to work with us to actualize the project itself, which meant we had to set up strategically what do we want to do with those companies, where do we want them to be within a specific period of time, because it has to be time bound. So we had to set for ourselves some smart, if you like, targets on how to achieve the objective of Project 100. And based on that, when we developed the concept and the framework, we got stakeholders buy-in, and then we were able to transparently request and selected the would-be 100 companies. Of course, the platform we used was our JQS, which is the Joint Qualification System, where all contractors who do business with us in the oil and gas industry are registered. So that was the platform with which we were able to download most of the companies, and then we informed them of the objectives of Project 100 and how they can participate in it.
In pursuit of true excellence in service, NCDMB ensures only serious and determined operators will reap the benefits of this laudable initiative.
We went through the process and the criteria set out jointly with KPMG, and eventually they were selected. So now we have them. Unfortunately, we were not able to get the 100 number, which is our target. Based on the criteria, we were only able to get about 60 companies for now, which is the first phase. But there are plans to get the additional 40 to make it that project 100.
It is gratifying to note that this all-important initiative has positioned to open new vista for economic growth in terms of job creation, technology development, wealth creation, and other local content indicators. Michael Asukwo is the Managing Director, Faith Plant Global International Services Limited.
Project 100 is a wonderful program, one of the programs of this administration that we have commended government for such initiative. The essence of the program is to build capacity to meet those gaps that Nigerians could not provide in the oil and gas sector, and which they've started. And part of the program is to also empower Nigerian companies that are offering services, give them support services to enable them perform well and meet up the demands in the oil and gas industry. And the way they are going about it, I think I must commend them that they are going at the right path, and I believe that in the long run they will achieve their set goal.
For Bayo Adewale, the Managing Director of B2 Oil and Gas Project Limited, it is indeed a welcome development.
This vision first is to encourage indigenous contractors to become something good in this country. What multinational can do, we the indigenous contractor can do better than them if we see encouragement that is coming out from our government. But among the people that pre-qualified, we are number 4. It shows that we have qualities and we have what it takes to become the best in oil and gas industry. So we are achieving it.
Chukwuma Emezie, Managing Director and Chief Executive of Castor Global Resources Limited, also lent his voice.
Our compliance system here, our compliance monitoring system here is effective. It's managed by a lady and she's on top of it. We try as much as possible to comply with every rule, every policy that is disseminated in the oil and gas industry. That's one thing that we will say that must have pushed us forward and must have given us the edge to be able to have been selected as one of the Project 100 beneficiaries. We were at Abuja in the inauguration of the Project 100, and we had the government on almost the highest level. That was the Minister of State that was there, and for petroleum, and we understand he spoke on behalf of the President. So what we heard from them, we're elated that such a program is coming up in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. It's the first of its kind. They have assured us on capacity development, which is actually the biggest challenge we have currently in the industry, and specifically in Castor Global Resources Limited. They've assured of adequate training. Are you getting me? They have assured us of improvement to the market, improvement of access to the market, both access to suppliers and access to other companies that can aid us in technology transfer.
Shawana Kolawole, the young Managing Director of Uluti Engineering International Limited, who is also a beneficiary, bears his mind.
We are grateful to the NCDMB for taking the initiative, and to the Ministry for Petroleum Resources for also taking the initiative to support indigenous players in that regard, to provide capability and ultimately some sort of support We hope also financing, which is one other issue that we sort of struggle with at the moment. But we are, with the conversations that we have been having with the Project 100 team, that sort of looking at our business health and some certain checks, and when we see those sorts of initiatives, it gives us hope that it's not just a political move like some would say it is. So there is a lot of work that is going on, and we're excited with what is going to come. So we are open to whatever support that they're going to give. If it requires us to change our mode of operations, if it requires us to change the way we do things, certainly we are willing to do that, so long as the end goal remains the benefit of the company.
Mrs. Fumi Obue is the Chief Executive Officer of Sigma Nigeria Limited.
We have every single permit that we need to have in the sector. We're very compliant. Like I said, we act with utmost integrity. Anything that you need to do to have the license to operate, we have. So we have a lot of OEMs that we work with. So we do work to international standards anywhere, and we're constantly keeping ourselves abreast of technology. We're very open to new ways of doing things. So we make sure that we're up to speed. We attend a lot of conferences, we listen to podcasts, we subscribe to, innovation channels. So we make sure that we know what's going on in the industry.
According to St. Mobe, the Chief Executive of SkyMart Energy and Power Limited, indigenous operators will prove their mettle.
Our operational site is strategically located in the Notori oil and gas free zone, and that is an edge over all our competitors, because if you check the current tenders that is advertised by Shell and Mobil, they stated categorically that your facility must be within the oil and gas free zone. So if we have our operational site there, we have a jetty, we have our stacking area for offload and the backloading of equipment, then I think we are fit to compete with any person or any client in Nigeria.
A common consensus among industry watchers and operators have always been the name-dropping syndrome to get connected. But Oyelekun Olateju, the arrowhead of Encapsulate Nigeria Limited, applauds the transparency of the board.
Encapsulate Nigeria Limited, we pride ourselves in meeting standards. Those are one of our visions, our guidelines that guides our scope of operations. We make sure everything that pertains to us operating in Nigeria environment, we get it statutory wise. Let me first of all say thank you to NCDMB for the opportunity given unto us to be enlisted as a beneficiary, because with that I know we will be showcased more to the companies that peradventure on our own we couldn't have been able to reach as a service company.
Presently, indigenous operators are faced with the uphill task of attracting patronage for their services and renewing confidence of clients. And so, this Project 100 initiative will indeed strategically position them for new jobs. Aga Abani, the Managing Director and Chief Executive of Haribit International Services Limited, supports the initiative.
As a corporate organization, we have been keeping to the requirements of the federal government. So what we did was to ensure that all our obligations are kept. So because they have to, as operating company or e-service company, we have to make sure that our operational permits are up to date, We have to ensure our registrations were up to date. We have to ensure that our tax clearance, our tax liabilities are paid. We have to make sure our social responsibility are met, like we also offer scholarships for some students. So we maintain pension scheme, pension program for our workers to make sure that their pension, their contributions are remitted. So these are part of the things that were considered before the selection. And I must say this, the selection was purely on merit.
Barrister Clement Braid is the Human Resource Manager, UTIS Energy Services Limited.
UTIS Energy Services Limited was selected as part of the beneficiary. Amongst the 100 beneficiaries, UTIS Energy Services benefited as first 60 and also first 100. So we know that the reason why we are being selected, it's not because of personal relationship, no. But it's not also because of nepotism or favoritism, no. It's not because we are the best, no. But because we conform to standard practices. And what are the standard practices? Standard practices in line with government institutions and government regulatory agencies. We are able to make sure that all documentation from Corporate Affairs Commission in terms of payment of our annual returns are certified with. We also make sure that we comply strictly with ITF, industrial. Also make sure we comply strictly as required by FIRS, Federal Inland Revenue Service, and we also make sure that we comply strictly as required by Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund. So I think it is part of it is due to our documentation processes that made UTIS Energy Services Limited to qualify as beneficiary of the project 100 as designed by the NCDMB.
Ugochi Elelewe, the admin personnel of UTIS Energy Services Limited, offers this piece of advice.
NCDMB, they are indeed doing a wonderful job, especially in the area of maximizing the utilization of Nigerian resources. I want to advise that they should please set up M1E, monitoring and evaluation, to evaluate the project's 100 beneficiaries so that they'll be able to get jobs from the IOCs. Because most times when we bid, we'll be the ones bidding and sending documentation, and at the end of the day, we are not giving job. So we are just beneficiaries just in the book. We wanted to please ensure that they do monitoring and evaluation for the project's 100 beneficiaries to ensure that they get job from the IOCs.
Driven by the passion to see indigenous operators' activity evolve in the oil and gas sector, Simbi Wabote tells us more about the project.
We also sent out some questionnaires to these companies, a lot of them, and trying to find out what are the blockers, if you like, that they face in order to move their business forward. And they listed about 5 or 6 blockers that they see. Initially, we thought funding was the main issue, but it could surprise you that funding almost came last amongst the 6 or 7 blockers that were identified. But most importantly for them was capacity building, which we have to deliberately design programs alongside those successful companies to address. The other bit again we saw was access to markets. How do you make the opportunities available to them, which we will also design programs to deliberately address, working in conjunction with NNPC, NAPIMS, and most of the operators, because they generate the work, as it were. So we are going to work with them to see how we can create the access to market. The other bit, I think, it's about policy. Some of government policies that are also affecting their ability to grow. How do we work with them, with sister agencies, to address those policies? So We have about 6 or 7 of such blockers that we will deliberately design programs to work with these identified 60 contractors.
Structures are also being put in place to ensure that it is indeed Project 100.
We will open up the opportunity to get in another 40. So that will come in the phase 2.
Given his wealth of experience in the private sector and now in the public domain, he assures that funding for the project will not be an issue.
NCDMB, as a lead agency for developing local capacity, will take the lead in driving the program. So as part of driving the program, we have created what we call a PMO office, Project Management Office, which is made up of sister agencies, PTDF, NNPC, and other sister agencies that in this business with us together, Ministry of Petroleum Resources. So that Project Management Office, which will sit within NCDMB, will be the ones to project drive the Project 100
He also speaks on the role of the Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria, OPTAN.
OPTAN, like you know, is the Oil and Gas Trainers Association, which is also mentioned in the Nigerian Content Act as a body that we will work with in order to develop local capacity for trainers. Because hitherto, there's huge opportunity for training. I've talked to you about one of the greatest challenge of some of the Project 100 beneficiaries is capacity building. So that capacity building has to be done by trainers, but they have to be qualified trainers, subject matter experts, with state-of-the-art facility to do those trainings. If you know how much money this country spends, be it in government institutions, oil and gas companies, private sector, on training alone, there's a huge opportunity to tap there. So the Oil and Gas Trainers Association is one of such bodies that is working hand in glove with NCDMB to domicile training in country and stop the capital flight of people going overseas for simple training that does not require any equipment but just individuals. You will take 30 people out of Nigeria to go for a training that 2 trainers will give to them.
With passionate drive and total commitment through Project 100, indigenous operators in the oil and gas industry will no doubt tower above competition and maintain desired position in their area of specialization.
I wish you gon' need to light up your light, Oh man, the quality wire. Now which kind cable you gon' need to light up your house, Oh man, the quality cable. Coleman quality. Coleman wire. Coleman durable. Coleman cable. Coleman canke. Coleman cable for any kind of project. Come and be the come and see. Now come and be the Coleman won't light up your line. Now come and be the come and see. Now come and be the COLEMENA. Quality. Durable. Now come and be the Baba.
This, for sure, is an exciting prospect, as the companies that have made it so far did so by their own record of good corporate governance and determination to contribute to the Nigerian economy. For more information on our previous episode, you can visit www.youtube.com/economy today on NTAI. On behalf of the rest of the crew, I say a very big thank you to our sponsors and of course our viewers. I am Zainab Obitin. Remain blessed.